Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got the handicap marks come through and I've had a look at them and we'll go over the hurdlers that caught my eye. Now I don't think a lot of these are going to run until next season now, but I do think they're interesting at the beginning of next season. So I think they're horses that you should be adding to your NAGMI like now, because come October, September, October, we probably won't remember them. So the first horse I want to add is Master Chewie, who um, I don't think he's appreciated the step up in trip. I mean, he went off 200 to 1 in a grade 1, but it was a grade 1 at Cheltenham. And then disappointed, I think, finishing 8th in a handicap recently. Yes, he wasn't beaten far. Yes, he got squeezed out at the finish. Yes, it wasn't the worst effort. Dropping back in trip, though. I really think I think he was coming to the end of his tether when he got squeezed out. I think he was just getting towards being tired and got squeezed out, possibly because he couldn't hold his position. Drop him back in trip, go for 2 mile. Now, he's an interesting one for a couple of reasons. One, last year's winner of the Greatwood was owned by the same owners as these, the Nigel Twiston-Davies team who had I Like to Move It. And this could have been the plan. The problem with it, Master Chewie dropped £1 to 121. Now, 121 will not get you in the Greatwood. So they've got to find a race that he can win first. Now, bearing in mind, we've got to remember, he finished 6th here in, let's just load this race up, the Betfair Hurdle. Now, 10th was Rabal, who's obviously gone on to do better things. Tritonics finished 4th in a handicap. I mean, one for more for the road can come out and win soon. Faith was won a county hurdle. It was a good race. So finishing 6th was not a bad run, and he only went off 8 to 1 that day. That was a good run. Would he win a race if he turned up in against these horses here that I'm showing on screen now? Absolutely. That's a 2 mile handicap at Plumpton for horses rated 0 to 125. Well, Master Chewie is rated 121. If similar opposition turned up next year or later this year in October, he would win that. And on the back of that, he would then probably get in the Greatwood. So I think he's one that we've got to keep an eye out for the beginning of next season to win a lowly handicap like this. He might only go off 9 to 4, but if he went off 9 to 4 in a race like this, I think he would win it. And he'd be a decent 9 to 4 bet, to be honest. So he's one I do want to keep an eye on for, or an eye out for when he drops back to 2 mile and at the beginning of next season with the Greatwood in mind. The second horse I want to talk about is a horse called Lady Adair. Now, Lady Adair, she's been disappointing this season. 6th, 2nd and 12th in 3 runs, having looked really eye-catching and promising on her first few starts. She won her first 4 races. She beat some good horses. She won the Taunton race really impressively. This season hasn't gone to plan, and I think the fact that she didn't run from February 2022 to January 2023, they probably had a little bit of issues with her, and they might still be getting this season over with and just getting her some fitness runs and trying to get her back for next season. With that in mind, when she comes back next season, surely she's got to drop back to 2 mile. You can see that her two really disappointing runs, her 6th, her 12th, came over 2 mile 3 and 2 mile 4. She's got to drop back to 2 mile, and also she's got to go forward. So when she ran over 2 mile 4, they held her right out the back and she never got involved. All of her wins beforehand, before her potential injury, I wonder whether she's had an injury, she was very prominent and she raced up with a pace and was very, very, very good. She did okay when she was 2nd at Wincanton in a mare's handicap. When she was up with the pace, she chased the leaders, whereas her disappointing efforts have come when she's been weighted with a bit more. Don't totally know where to go with her. She might be one that we do see another time this season, or not necessarily this National Hunt season because it actually ends on Saturday, but in the summer we might see Lady Adair having more runs to get her fit and to get her back to her best with the next National Hunt proper in mind. So the third horse I want to talk about is Yorksea, who is dropped £2 to 123. Now again, doesn't want 2.5 mile. Gary Moore stepped Yorksea up to 2 mile 5 for a handicap against Outlaw Peter. Disappointed, finished 8th. Was it a handicap or a graded race? It was a handicap. Disappointed, back in 8th. He then ran again at Cheltenham in the same race as Master Chewie. Disappointed, back in 11th. But if we take his 2 mile form, it's actually very good. A good winner at Fontwell. A decent 4th at Newbury, to be fair, in a good race. And then 4th again at Newbury. Let me just load those races up. So, Betfair Hurdle. Yorksea was 4th in a Betfair Hurdle. Yorksea was winning a handicap hurdle. And Yorksea was finishing 4th in an intermediate hurdle. A good one with First Street, Grieve Tarner, Teddy Blue. Teddy Blue's obviously gone on to win the Sussex Champion Hurdle. 2 mile. Yorksea's got to be dropped back to 2 mile. Now, where would you go with Yorksea then? Welsh Champion Hurdle. The 2 mile handicap at the beginning of the season. Yeah, off 123, drop £2 to 123. I think Yorksea would be right at the bottom of the handicap and would run a really big race in a race like that. With the long-term target potentially being back the Betfair Hurdle. Yeah, I think Yorksea is well handicapped, just doesn't want that trip. I mean, how can you can't knock the 2 mile form. The last time Yorksea ran over 2 miles was finishing 4th in a Greatwood hurdle. Betfair Hurdle, sorry. Behind Oaken Risk, Filey Bay and Teddy Blue. Nothing wrong with that at all. Go back to 2 mile with Yorksea and I think you'll get a better performance than what she... I always say she because I always think it sounds like a she. It's not. I think he would run better back over 2 mile. And the final horse from this selection is First Street. First Street is down £3 to 147, which is only £1 higher than when winning this Newbury race back here, when beating Yorksea, Teddy Blue and Grieve Tarner. Now, that was a good run at the time. First Street has since gone up quite high in the handicap, and only 2 runs ago was actually running off 152 when finishing 11th in a Greatwood hurdle. A county hurdle, but was only beaten 8 lengths. So beaten 8 lengths in one of the most competitive handicaps off a £5 higher mark. Yes, it didn't quite work at Ayr as well, but I think the fact that he's been dropped again, another £3 to 147, he's £5 lower than when finishing just 8 lengths behind the winner of the county hurdle. Where do they go with First Street? I think it's obvious, I think it's simple. You do go for the Greatwood hurdle. So why do you go for the Greatwood hurdle? Well, we know First Street has good Cheltenham form. That 11th wasn't a bad run, and has also finished 2nd at Cheltenham behind Stateman. I just want to check what handicap mark that was off. That was off a mark of 142, so still £5 higher. But Stateman's considerably higher than £5, isn't he? He's a lot higher than £5 higher, and I mean, even Colonel Mustard was being beaten then off 140. He's since finished 2nd in a All Back to off 143 and 2nd in the Scottish Champion Hurdle off 146. Probably goes up another couple of pounds, maybe 148. So he's £8 higher. It was a really good run from First Street. I think the big handicap will suit again back at Cheltenham, and I think and hope that the Greatwood hurdle is the target for First Street. So there's 4 there. Master Chewie to end up in a Greatwood, but can win a handicap first. Lady Adair needs to be ridden forward over 2 miles. Yorksea can certainly win a handicap off his low 123 mark. I'm hoping that the Welsh Champion Hurdle is the target. And First Street goes straight for the Greatwood Hurdle off 147. And I think he goes very, very close there. So there's our 4 for the hurdles. There's some chase and flat horses still to come.